What's going on, everyone? It's Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut, and today we're going to look at our third part of our four-part series recapping the NHL 2021 season. In this one, we'll be looking specifically at the Western Conference. So without further ado, we'll jump right in, and we will start by discussing the Colorado Avalanche, who went 39-13-4, which was good for 82 points, and the President's Trophy. So Colorado, they entered the season with high hopes and high expectations. They were considered by many, myself included, to be Cup favorites. How did they do? Well, like I said, they had a great regular season, and this was capped by scoring the most goals in the league while managing to allow the third fewest. So clearly they had a strong offense and a strong defense. Now the Avalanche, they did have a certain viral illness affect them, but the team did rebound well in time for the playoffs. Mikko Rantanen, who had 66 points, led the team in scoring, but Nathan MacKinnon, who had 65 points in 48 games, was right behind him. Cal McCarr had another strong season, providing 44 points from the blue line. Philip Grubauer had a very strong season in net, providing a .922 save percentage and a 1.95 goals against average. Colorado easily took care of St. Louis in the first round with a sweep, but then they fell to Vegas 4-2. This was despite the fact that they killed Vegas in the first game. So, Colorado, they had 4 players score double-digit points in the playoffs. They were Nathan MacKinnon with 15, Mikko Rantanen with 13, Gabriel Landeskog with 13, and Cal McCarr with 10. Now, Colorado, despite kind of bowing out a little earlier than expected, they fell to a formidable foe in Vegas, and they still have very high hopes heading into the next season. Speaking of Vegas, we have the Vegas Golden Knights, who finished second in this division with a 40-14-2 record, which was also good for 82 points, but due to tiebreakers, Colorado took home the President's Trophy. So how did Vegas do? They continued to defy the odds as a now fourth-year expansion team. Vegas just dominated. Vegas had the league's third best scoring offense and the best defense, so kind of the inverse of Colorado. Captain Mark Stone led the team in points with 61. Max Pacioretty was second on the team with 51. Alex Pietrangelo had a solid first year in Vegas. Now, unfortunately, Cody Glass, who was the team's first ever draft pick, 6th overall in 2017, he had another underwhelming season as he split the year between the NHL and the AHL. The goaltending duo of Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner looked electric, as expected. Fleury would end up taking home the Vezina Trophy, while the duo won the William N. Jennings Award. Vegas took a hard-fought first-round series over Minnesota 4-3 and knocked out the Avalanche 4-2 to win the West. Then, Vegas was shocked by the Canadiens 4-2 in the semifinals. Surprisingly, William Karlsson led the team in postseason points with 16. Mark Stone did slightly underperform in the playoffs as he only provided 8 points. Still, that's just because you're playing some of the better defenses in the league. So I can't necessarily pin that on Mark Stone. They, just like Colorado, have high hopes heading into next year. The Minnesota Wild ended third in this division with a 35-16-5 record, which was good for 75 points. And the Wild had a strong season, as their young players and some of the veterans gelled together perfectly. They finished the year ranked 8th on offense and with the 15th ranked defense. Notably, the Wild played the Vegas Golden Knights very well over the course of the season, going 5-1-2 against them. Now, Minnesota saw rookie Kirill Kaprizov lead the team in scoring with 51 points. This performance saw him take home the Calder Trophy. Kevin Fiala with 40, Jordan Greenway with 32, and Joel Eriksson Ek with 30 sparked the youth movement in Minnesota. Zach Parise with 18 points had a rough season once more for the team, and he is a candidate to be bought out. Now, in the playoffs, Minnesota pushed the Golden Knights to 7 games before falling to them. This was quite a showing from the young Wild. Now, this was one of the weirder teams when it came to points leaders in the playoffs, as they had 8 players tied for their lead with 3 points. Those players were Eriksson Ek, Kaprizov, Parise, Greenway, and Matthew Dumba, Jonas Brodin, Jared Spurgeon, and Matt Zuccarello. All in all, this is a young, talented, exciting team. Hopefully they can get Kaprizov locked down for a long-term deal, but easier said than done. In fourth place, we had the St. Louis Blues, who went 27-20-9, which was good for 63 points. Now, the Blues had a solid season as they managed to snag the last playoff spot in the West. The Blues, they were a mediocre team as they had the 13th ranked offense and the 19th ranked defense. Now, it should be noted that Vladimir Tarasenko did not play much this year as he missed the first half of the season, still recovering from that shoulder injury that he suffered way back in 2019. Oscar Sundqvist also would tear his ACL in mid-March, which was he's kind of a good bottom six piece to have. Now, David Perron led the team in scoring with 58 points. Other than Ryan O'Reilly, who had 54 points, no other Blues player had over 40. Jordan Binnington looked good at times, and he ended the year with a .910 save percentage. Tarasenko provided the team with 14 points over 24 games before being shut down prior to the playoffs, and he was probably the team's biggest disappointment. So, yeah. St. Louis got swept out of the playoffs by the Avalanche, and they had Ryan O'Reilly and Robert Thomas lead the team in postseason scoring with 3 points each. Tarasenko is a candidate to be traded this offseason, so it will be interesting to see how they handle that situation. Now, the first team out of the playoffs in the West was the Arizona Coyotes, who went 24-26-6, which was good for 54 points, and they just simply underachieved this year. They finished as a bottom 10 defense and offense. Now, Phil Kessel led the team in points with 43. Darcy Kemper and Aiden Hill each played well in goal, and they kind of split goaltending duties. Now, after the disappointing season, Arizona and their coach Rick Tocchet decided to part ways. Andre Torgindi was hired as his replacement, so they have a younger replacement. Hopefully, he can help guide Arizona to the promised land. Now, in sixth, we had the LA Kings, who went 21-28-7, which was good for 49 points. In Los Angeles, they did what was expected of them. No one saw the Kings as true contenders, even in a weak West Division, since they are still in a rebuild. Now, they were alive in the playoff push for longer than expected, and they finished ahead of the Sharks, and they were expected to finish ahead of the Ducks, but they did that as well. All in all, it was a solid season for them. The offense, ranked 27th, finished as bottom 5, while the defense, ranked 19th, was respectable. Anze Kopitar, with 50, easily led the team in points. Now, they did have a couple of young players kind of shine, with Gabriel Velarde and Adrian Kempe. They both looked good at times. They both were a little streaky. Unfortunately, Elias Anderson, he did not look good. He spent some time in the AHL, so we'll have to see what happens if he stays on the team. Jonathan Quick, he underwent shoulder surgery after the season came to an end, which may help to explain his poor performance over the season. Calvin Peterson, who took over, did okay in relief. Next, we have the San Jose Sharks, who went 21-28-7, just like the Kings, which means they finished with 49 points. And San Jose, they just had a rough year. The team finished bottom 10 in goals and bottom 3 in defense. Evander Kane led the team in points with 49. Logan Couture with 31 and Timo Meier, also with 31 points, had rough seasons, while Patrick Marleau, who only managed 9 points, really showed his age. Martin Jones had a tough season. On the bright side, Rudolph Balcers had a decent season, and he looks like he can be a key piece for this team going forward. Lastly, we have the Anaheim Ducks, who went 17-30-9, which is good for 43 points. Now, there's nothing more to be said about the Ducks other than that they are clearly in a rebuild. We knew this heading into the season. They had the league's worst offense and a bottom 10 defense to boot. Max Comtois led the team in scoring with only 33 points. Cam Fowler and Ricard Raquel each have respectable seasons in their regards as well. Now, the young players in Anaheim, such as Max Jones and Sam Steele, did not have great seasons, but they should still be key pieces of this team in the future. Ryan Getzlaf provided 17 points this year, and this will probably be his last year as a Duck as he is a free agent at the conclusion of the season. John Gibson was decent in net, but with a suspect defense and a lack of offense in front of him, he once more led the league in losses, so not exactly great. Now, how did I predict the West was going to look at the start of the season? I had Colorado winning. I had Vegas in second. All right with those two. I had St. Louis in third. And then my first real mistake was I had San Jose coming in fourth. I thought their veterans would be able to push them over the top. I was wrong. And then I had Arizona in fifth, Minnesota in sixth, the Kings in seventh, and Anaheim in last. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And this was how the NHL Western Division went. Have a good rest of your day.